Hi there, Dr. Rajiv Iyer here from IMG Secrets. Happy Saturday to you all, no matter what part of the world you're in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever it is. It's so exciting to be talking to you. Well, thank you for joining live here. And I want to make sure everybody who's applying for residency, fellowships, and things like that, you guys are doing okay so far. Making sure you're applying through high quality applications or you've already applied so that way you get called for an interview and then move on to the next exciting step of actually finding a position. Right? Those are the more important things here. All right. So we released some information about the H1B visas. I know many of you were really anxious about it, but the things are not clear. But looks like physicians could be affected by this. But by and large, whatever the pool that is going to get affected is going to be minority, because majority of doctors would be transitioning through what is called as the non-cap exempt category, which hopefully shouldn't be affected. But even otherwise, I wouldn't worry about these things because this is something you cannot control, and the hospital is going to pay for this, not you guys. Sure, it's a problem for smaller hospitals. I don't disagree with that, but you guys have to take the best shot and then make sure you focus on things you can control, which is preparing your applications, preparing for exams or whatever it is, and then make sure you put forth a high quality application and not stress about all these H1B businesses. All right. I also want to mention if someone do want to join live on this session to ask questions, here is the link. Okay. So you can actually join live, get on the video audio feed, and then ask questions. So that way we can talk one-on-one. How cool is that? All right, we have a few doctors joining. So let me see what's going on there. Dr. Ibrahim says, hello, dear doctor. Dr. Ibrahim, thank you for joining. I hope you're doing well and hoping to answer any questions you have. Next is Dr. Shivanshu, who says already in a transplant fellowship program. Very nice. I hope your fellowship is going good and you're making the best use of your fellowship, not only in terms of establishing your career wherever you are, plus also learning the best practices so you can provide safe care to your patients. A very noble fellowship. All right. So the next question comes from Dr. Demirel, who is in Turkey. Thanks for joining from Turkey. I'm an OBGYN specialist. I have 15 years of clinical experience. What is the best pathway for me to practice in Canada? I'll get to this. Let me take a call. Hello. All right. The call got dropped off. Let's go back to Dr. Demirel's question, which says, see, generally when people say things like this without giving any context as to how your CV looks like and other things, I would say you could certainly explore clinical fellowships, but remember getting clinical fellowships in OBGYN is not too easy. And that is true for all surgical specialties. And but generally we find that as one of the best options for IMDs to transition through Canadian pathways. Sure, that doesn't give you a direct access to practice in Canada. However, it's going to be a fantastic experience on your CV, using which you can then explore the next steps of practicing in Canada or the US for that matter too. So these are some of the options. Of course, if nothing works out, then obviously you have residency as a backup option. I couldn't comment whether you can directly apply as an attending physician because I don't have all your experiences in front of me. But generally, these would be the options. With this limited information, I would say focusing on clinical fellowship might be a good option. So Dr. Ahmed says, thanks for being always present for IMG Doctor. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate the comment. And sure, I'm really happy to hear this is all helping you guys, because that's the whole purpose of doing this. What is the best way to get a job offer in the hospital for an IMG, asks Dr. Rahman. Well, see, what is a job offer? A job offer is something where the hospital has told you, okay, fine, Dr. Rahman, here you go, we are ready to hire you. Now, in order to get to that stage, you need to apply for jobs. First step. And then subsequently, let's say you apply for jobs that are relevant for your experience in those hospitals where you think, okay, there are some options. Then they would talk to you through an interview. So that's typically the first process after they like the application. So if they still like you in the interview, and if they think that you would be a good fit to the hospital, to the department, or whatever your specialty is, then they would say, here you go, here is a job offer. So that's how the process of obtaining a job offer sits. Okay, so the first thing is you apply for jobs, interviews, and then the job offer. Okay, all right. Dr. Shivanshu says, hello, Doc. Hello, Dr. Shivanshu. Right. Dr. Ahmed says, can having a master's program? Obviously, the comment got cut. So let's wait to see what other comment comes through. Right. So I do want to mention that for those of you joining now, if you want to join live, you can always click on the link and then directly join, and then we can have a chat. All right. So the next comment comes from Dr. Wallace, who says, hello. Hello, Dr. Wallace. You guys can tell me where you're from. That would be very helpful as well. Dr. Bazabi says, hello, Doc. Hello. Thanks for joining. And the next says, Dr. Pokrel. Hello. Again, thank you for joining. So I would be curious to know what part of the world you guys are joining from. All right. I assume I'm on a J1 visa. I have residency from India. Are you not the same person who said you have a transplant fellowship? Yes. All right. How to get a job and best way to get a green card? Well, in order to, I don't know where you're doing your transplant fellowship program from. So that actually determines the entire process of how we can put this answer. So if you want to mention that, that would make it a lot easier. How to get a job after fellowship and fastest way to get a green card. Yeah, so that's what I mean. So once we know that, what type of fellowship you're doing, I know it's transplant, but what transplant? And then where? That would be helpful to answer your questions. Okay. All right. Could you explain the ABIM pilot study in exceptionally qualified applicants? I'm interviewing for USA fellowships and the program directors, but they didn't have much information about this. All right. So here's the thing. Whatever we share with you guys about the IMG pathways is based on extensive amount of experience that we have in these unique pathways. Plus the information shared online, but we don't just say whatever is shared online, but we put a lot of our experience in it when we share information. So an important part of the application process for you IMGs is actually to educate the program directors, to educate the hospitals. So when we are helping candidates preparing their CV, cover letter, trying to help them apply for positions, we actually include educating these program directors or hospitals as a part of the application as well, in a very polite and professional way. And I'm not surprised that people don't know about this, because not many people would have as much experience as we have. We also take very active steps in educating the hospitals, programs, some of whom we directly speak to, trying to find them candidates. And so this is how we actually proceed. So I'm not surprised they're not aware of this. So it's your job to educate them. Okay. All right. Dr. Shazia says, the H1B affect doctor job or not? See, the thing is, it is not entirely clear. Okay. So the blanket policy applies across all H1B. But here is the thing. Majority of the H1B for doctors comes through cap exempt categories, which is not what the new H1B $100,000 fees is focused on. Now they are focused on tech workers. There are many news media that have reported that they have exempted doctors. But is that really true? We are not entirely sure. how far it's true. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Number one is this is not something you can control. And number two is you're not the one paying the fees. It's someone else. The hospital is paying the fees. So whether it's $5,000, $100,000, you're not spending any money there. So why worry about something where you're not spending money on? And number three, for majority of the big hospitals, I don't think this is a problem. I mean, this is my personal opinion because $100,000 for huge hospitals is basically nothing. For you and me, yes, it's a big deal, but for small hospitals, not a big deal. But there are some hospitals that could be affected. But does it going to affect doctors? Probably. Is it going to be a big deal? Probably not, in my opinion. Okay? So focus on things you can control and not worry about all these visa fees. All right. So we have someone joining. Hi.
Hello, Dr. Rajib. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, of course. So what's going on with
Uh,
you?
my name is Jose. I'm a Peruvian IMG. I've already completed radiology in my home country. I've already taken the 3 steps. And luckily, last month, I secured a fellowship position in the US within the H1B visa. But now I don't know if it's too soon to contact the program and ask them if they are gonna they are gonna sponsor that. I think it's too soon, but what do you think
They're
the
going to what?
program? I'm not sure. I've already gotten the position under H1B, but the paperwork is supposed to start like in January. But I don't know what you think about the point of view with programs that already have committed to H1B upcoming fellows.
So first of all, congratulations on securing a fellowship. That's a big deal.
Thank
So your question is H1B going to be a problem for you? Is that your
Yes,
question?
because they have not started the paperwork yet. I mean, they told me that all the paperwork for fellows start on January to start in July. So I don't know if it's too soon to contact them. I guess at this point programs do not have enough information yet. That's
When do you
right. Is that right?
when do you start the fellowship?
July 1st next year.
Okay, okay.
Thank
It is very unlikely this is going to change the way you would get an H1B. I would think it's going to be the same process. What fellowship are you in? If you're okay disclosing,
Musculoskeletal radiology.
okay. All right. So the general rule is if it's a bigger hospital, usually it's not a big deal for them. You know, they usually absorb the costs and they may even not have to deal with this if they belong to a CAPEX category. So things are not clear yet. But I wouldn't stress about the fact that it's an H1B at this stage. What you may want to think about is how you can transition successfully to the fellowship. If your goal is to stay long term in the US, okay, you may want to think about how you can establish yourself in the US as well. So those are the things I would focus on. I mean,
Okay,
the
thank you.
hospitals would know. The hospitals have very smart lawyers and financial team working for them.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for your time and for the live
Yeah,
questions.
sure. If you do have any issues, do let us know. I would be curious to know.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. Take care. Nice talking to you. Bye. All right. That's exciting news. All right, moving on. Dr. Aslam says, I am OBGYN with fellowship in publications and 15 years post fellowship experience at medical college. And what option can I have in Texas? I'm 47 now. 15 years post fellowship experience. So the Texas has, like any other state, has three options. So is it three options? So one is residency, the other is fellowship, the other is attending with or without USMLA, and the last one is the new state law in Texas. So these would be the options for anyone transitioning into the state of Texas and other states. Remember, for all of you, the option of transitioning as an attending physician directly with zero US experience in your entire career. So, meaning you're coming directly from your home country or somewhere else to the USA as a consultant or an attending physician can happen without USMLE. Okay. And this is a rare pathway that happens to very few candidates who are considered really outstanding in their own fields. Okay. So these would be the options for anyone watching this. Cool. Dr. Hasinova. Hi from Azerbaijan. Thank you. All right. Dr. Bazabi is from Ethiopia. Thanks for mentioning that. Dr. Shivanshu is in Miami, Florida. Okay. All right. Now that you transplant fellowship, you're in Miami, Florida. You're on a J1. So you do have to go through the J1 waiver, and then if you're able to prove yourself as an outstanding candidate, the best pathway for obtaining a green card is going to be through EB1, and even in EB1 there are two types. So one is a self petition, the one is the employer petition. So the EB1 that is petitioned by the employer, in my experience, has been the best pathway to obtain a green card. And in my experience, when I did this, I had my green card in a span of months. So it's that fantastic to go through an employer-sponsored EB1. Okay, so that would, in my opinion, is the best way of getting a green card without spending any money on it. Dr. Aslam says, I'm from Pakistan. Thanks for joining. All right. Dr. Flame says, are you taking questions from the live? Oh, that's exactly what I'm doing. Dr. G1 became a member. Oh, thank you for being a member. All right. Here is someone who says USMLE 22. Interesting username. I am Rashamdeep IMG from India, but I completed internship in 2018. Since then, I had clinical break and was giving exams. I passed USMLE Step 1. Does this pathway viable for me now? What pathway are you referring to? Now, here's what I'm going to tell you without knowing much more information about you. If you have not done any residency anywhere in the world, your best bet may be to get back into residency here in the US once you become ECFMG certified. In the meanwhile, having a clinical break is not healthy for your CV. So I would encourage you to take some sort of position, either a clinical position, not as a doctor, as an intermediary doctor with some restricted licenses that quite a few states offer, or a research position in order to build the gap in your CV. So that way, when you apply for residency, you can tell the program, hey, I'm actually doing something here in the US. And that's how you would apply, so you become competitive enough so they could call you for an interview. That is the way I would plan your career. All right, Dr. Emmanuel says, hi doc, you're doing really a great job as regard North Carolina. How can one secure a job with a new opportunity coming up in January? Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the comment. Now, here's the deal. So there have been a couple of people who actually reached out to us and said that they talked to hospitals in North Carolina and the hospitals had absolutely no clue about this. Again, I'm not surprised about this. As I mentioned earlier, an important part of application to you all would be to share the information that we provide you to the hospitals in a very polite and professional way, okay? And educate them. So you need to educate the hospitals, you need to educate the program directors, because what we say comes with extensive amounts of experiences. So in order to obtain a job in North Carolina, which is not clear in the bill, is now this is how I think this is going to work. Now you have to say, okay, this is my CV and this is the department I'm going to best fit in. So for example, I finished my MBBS, okay? I've been working as a registrar or a medical officer or a duty doctor or whatever it is for the last, let's say, 10 years. And I'm going to see, okay, what department might best fit in? Is it family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics, whatever it is? Based on that, you would apply to hospitals in North Carolina saying that you want to transition through this limited license, okay? And this is my experience. So you would put this along with the CV cover letter, as I said earlier, educating them about how they could hire you potentially into these positions. Now the law or the licensure law kicks in January 1 of 2026 as of today, could change anytime. And this is how you would proceed with applying to these positions. Now the hospital looks at this, they say, hey, we're not going to hire this, we're not interested in this licensure pathway. Then there's nothing much you can do, because the hospitals can ultimately decide whether they want to hire someone through these licensures, or they can say, we are not interested in taking this. Just because there is a state law doesn't mean they have to follow this. So what I mean by this is, let me give you a different example. Let's say you have a car, you're driving a car, you follow a lot of laws related to driving a car. If you do not even have a car, you don't have to worry about what side of the street you're driving, where do you stop, where do you park, and things like that. So similarly, the hospitals would deal this in their own ways, okay? But basically, this is how you would apply and then try to secure a job in the hospitals. Long answer, but it does require a lot of explanation, I would think. Dr. Hammond says, can you discuss the role of having publications plus having a master's degree in PU? What is PU? PU. Can you explain what PU is? Is it public health? Maybe? Alright, let's assume it's public health. Well, it depends. Now, have you done residency? Are you a very experienced candidate? Then you can focus on fellowships, attending positions. If not, you have not done any of those, then obviously your choice would be getting back into residency, for which USMLE would be required. Alright, Dr. Christian says, hi everyone. Hi Dr. Christian, thanks for joining. Alright, Dr. Salim says, I have MS in general surgery from Pakistan. Okay, training completed in May 2023. Exam done December 2024. Now living in Carolina as a green card holder. Easy pathway, no state specific. Oh, maybe you're asking what is the easy pathway for you? Well, I would say if you've done general surgery, you are already in the US. See, one thing happens for people who are already in the US on green cards or US citizens who are not working. You actually accumulated clinical gaps that can actually be a problem for you guys. So in order to mitigate that, see, I would say if someone is coming as a clinical fellow or a consultant, they're much more stronger coming from outside the US as coming from being within the US. Isn't this a paradox? That's how things work. In your case, I would say you can explore, again, not enough information to exactly comment on things, but there is no easy pathway. Let's cross out the word easy from any discussions for pretty much most of you. You could actually explore the North Carolina state pathway or a clinical fellowship, or I would say residency as a backup. Okay. Dr. Flores says, good day, doctor. Good day, Dr. Flores. Oh, I also wanted to share you guys that if you decide to speak to us one-on-one, you can always book an appointment with us. And to thank you all for being here on the call, I'm sharing, our team has asked me to share a code that I have shared. It's September 5, all capitals, that you can get a discount when you book appointments with us. All right, Dr. Flores says, hang on, where did I go? All right, Dr. Flores says, good day, doctor. Next. All right, for the alternate pathway, it seems impossible when you have no connection or find the job, and I'm an anesthesiologist from my country. I don't need a visa. I'm applying for residency this cycle. Well, that's what we are here for. We can guide you with all these type of unique pathways like the alternate entry path, the direct attending, and things like that. So you can always speak to us one-on-one. We'll be more than happy to assist you. So you've already applied for residency this cycle. So good luck with your residency application. I hope something clicks. But if you need to speak about something else or even about residency, we are here to discuss. Dr. Jeevan says, I have questions, please. Yes, you can post your questions here and then we'll get to you the answers. So, I'm a Mexican urologist, okay, ECFMG certified. I have a potential job offer under the new Texas law from a private practice. Excellent, congratulations. Are you aware that this is possible with a private practice? Thanks in advance. Potentially, but private practice have to jump through a lot of different hoops as compared to the other types of practices. But potentially possible, but it really depends on the how much bandwidth the private practice has. If the private practice is interested in speaking to us in order to hire you, they're more than welcome to speak to us, and we can sit with them and guide them how to go through the process of hiring someone like you. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Thank you. Your session is very helpful. It's my pleasure. Dr. Flores says 9 years of experience. Well, again, as I said, you know, but I'm glad that someone is willing to hire you. That's a pretty big thing. All right, Dr. Srivastava says, Hi, Dr. Iyer. I am a practicing general surgeon in India and an assistant professor at a university hospital. Okay, I want to pursue my career as a general surgeon in the US. Okay, the question goes like this. Should I go through residency route or an alternate pathway? I have cleared my step one looking for observerships currently. And the last thing says H1B versus J1 for my profile. Okay. All right, let's go through this one by one. See, the best thing for anyone who has already done residency would be obviously not to repeat residency. Of course, it depends on how great your residency you think was. So, which is what we try to explain people how to go through other pathways. Well, it's up to you. Getting an alternate pathway directly coming from India is going to be tough, but you can always explore clinical fellowships. If that doesn't click, residency would be a great option. Observerships, okay, up to you. We offer observerships, but they're okay. They don't make or break an application. H1B versus J1 for my profile. Anyone. H1B hands down. I'm not a big fan of J1. J1 comes with its own problems, which includes J1 waiver, and then finding a job as a J1 waiver can be quite challenging for majority of you. So for those reasons, I am always in favor of H1B. Not only for you, but anyone watching this. If you do need our assistance, you're more than welcome to speak to us one-on-one. Previous research fellowship at Mayo Clinic is what Dr. Meissner says, and fellowship upcoming in Canada. What are the best options? So you do have a fellowship coming up in Canada. Congratulations. Very exciting to hear. I need to know what are the best options for what and what fellowship are you in. So that's not enough information to comment on that. More context is always helpful. High quality questions, high quality answers. How many pathways are there for non US IMGs through ABR pathway for fellowships in radiology? As many they can hire. As many they can hire. So we are actually, I do wanted to mention this. We are very actively looking for I might have mentioned this last time too, a pediatric radiologist with a specific MSK experience. We have quite a few candidates who applied. We actually have focused on 3 candidates who came with an excellent profile. They're okay hiring more candidates if they find good people. So no USMLE required. If you're a pediatric radiologist with MSK fellowship, 2 fellowships, or excellent experience in MSK, you can always send your reach out to us at contact us at imgsecrets.com. Okay? All right. Dr. Khan was calling. I think I missed your call. You feel free to call me again. I'll pick up your call. All right, we took that question on. Hello, doctor. Can you please talk about situation in Canada for newcomers? That's a very specific, non-specific question, I should say. So, like, what situation are you referring to? Are there any programs for newcomers in Canada? Like, for what? Are you applying for residency, fellowship, attending jobs, or non-clinical jobs? What is this in reference to? Need context. Which is more competitive to get a spot in radiology residency or a spot in radiology fellowship after finishing residency in home country? So both would be tough, but comparatively, I would say getting into radiology residency would be a lot more competitive than getting into radiology fellowships. Of course, depend on the fellowship, depends on the home country, depends on how strong a candidate you are, and things like that. But if you do finish a residency of radiology in either the US or Canada, then getting into radiology fellowship in the US is going to be almost almost sure. I still don't want to say 100%, but I would say almost sure. Okay. Anyone wants to call, you can use the link that I posted earlier and call me so you can join the call. All right, Dr. Sajini, Betty over from Kenya. I discussed with you my pathway 1.5 years ago. Okay, I am done USMLE 1 and 2, waiting for OET. What should I have for my next appointment with you? Fellowship application. I would say so. I'll have to go back, look at my notes as to what we discussed. You can reach out to us at contact us at imgsecrets.com. Just put us an email and the email you used for previous booking, and we can exactly tell you what next should be the options. I'm happy to hear you've finished your USMLE steps, so that's great. And also OET can be painful. All right. Dr. Ali Zaidi says, what is your opinion? If someone has post-graduation degree from their country and done with all USMLE steps and could not find any fellowship in their specialty, what other pathways he can explore? For people who are considered outstanding, then there is always directly coming in as a consultant or an attending physician in the USA. Option one, you can always repeat applying for fellowships. You can always go back to residency. These would be the big options. The fourth option would be exploring the state licensing pathways and then transition. So for any of you watching this, so these generally would be the options to transition your career in the USA. Now, if you don't have USMLA, you're pretty much, your option would be coming in directly as a consultant or an attending physician, again across all 50 states. This is nothing state specific. This is nothing specialty specific. This is across all specialties. Very few candidates are eligible for this because they look at how great you are, but potentially an option. All right. I have Dr. Jeevan says, I have a work experience for more than 25 years in psychiatry, out of which 13 years plus in CAMHS. CAMHS, okay. All experiences in Ireland and now working as consultant CMH in UK and running ADHD clinics. So you're asking what is your option? For anyone with this type of experience, we generally recommend exploring directly applying as an attending or a consultant position directly in the US. So, which is what I'm going to tell you to explore. Okay. So, I would encourage you to explore directly attending as, again, remember, these are not easy. There are very few people get this, but this, based on what you told me, great option for you. And remember, you can always come to us for one-on-one appointments and we will help you put forth a very strong application. But if you decide to do this on your own, a major part of this would be to educate the hospitals in terms of how they can hire you, either both during the initial application in a very subtle way, and then any follow-up, you may want to be very sure as to you tell them how exactly they can hire you, because most people would not be knowledgeable about all this. Okay. But that is something I encourage you to explore. Dr. Dhiren Patel says no USMLE, new law of North Carolina. Can you share this? Well, you can Google this up online, and this is all public. You can find this easily information on Google, and you can read about all this. This is a huge document, and when we provided a video for you guys, this was summarized very concisely. So basically, what the new law of North Carolina says that is, if someone has done a recognized medical school or medical college and are now graduated out of their medical school, they now have 10 years of experience post their MBBS or whatever equivalent medical school or medical college, or they have completed a PG of 2 years at least, and then they have 5 years of experience, then they can apply to positions in the state of North Carolina without having USMLA. And there are 45 countries that are recognized to get a license. But if you do not belong to these 45 countries, then if you get a license, you can just write an exam, like a post licensure exam, after you obtain a license, and then after you spend 1 year in the state of North Carolina, with all of this without USMLE. Now, this is what the law says, and this law would become effective January 1 of 2026. Now, this is for those people who I would say are not in the eminent outstanding category. If you are someone who are actually in the eminent outstanding category, then yes, this has nothing to do with the law. You can still proceed with applying with no USMLAs. Okay? And this is not only in the state of North Carolina, across all states. Okay? And I did share a coupon code called September 5 in all capitals. You can always use that to book an appointment so you get some discounts. And this is a way of thanking you for being on the call. All right. This is Dr. Daniel Sarfati. Today, our kids have gotten busy, so they're not here to do the wheel spin. So, hence the coupon code. I'm a neurosurgeon, MD, PhD in Brazil. How could I explore the North Carolina new law and apply to move there? So here's the thing. If someone is very experienced, I'm not a big fan of using these new laws. But rather, I encourage people to use these new laws when they don't come with so much of experience, and they have pretty basic CVs. And for a neurosurgeon, I would say the new law might not be the best option, so I would encourage you to explore fellowships. But again, if you do need to apply through the new law, then you can apply to hospitals in North Carolina, educating them about the law, and then asking them that you want to transition through this new law for a position, and this is how you move forward with the application. All right. Dr. Iyer, details about Texas provisional licensure pathway for anesthesia. It doesn't matter what specialty it is. If you're thinking of provisional licensure, not only in Texas, across any states, the most critical thing would be to find a job offer. Okay, so you have to apply to the departments in the state of Texas or any state, and then what they have to interview, and then they have to give you a job offer, and this is how you would transition through a provisional licensure option. Now, if you have already done an anesthesia fellowship, an anesthesia training, I would assume, because this is why you're asking about anesthesia, you can always explore anesthesia fellowships. Because remember, for people who have already done residencies, they were already in a track. I'm personally not a big fan of these new state laws. Certainly an option. I would go to that as plan B or plan C after exploring the other option, not as plan A, in my opinion. All right. I hope this is all answering your questions. Do give me a thumbs up or some way to indicate that this is actually helping you, because otherwise there is no way of me knowing this is a one-sided talk. All right, Dr. Bezabi says, I'm ECFMG certified internist. If I complete a nephro fellowship, what are the options? Well, if you do complete an Afro fellowship, let's say in the US, then it can potentially put you in a solid position to find a job in the US or in Canada, none of which is going to happen automatically. But this is a great experience on your CV to be competitive enough to apply for those positions. So those would be the best case scenario. Well, not a great option would be to get back to residency. Nothing wrong with residency, but I feel like if someone has already done residency, they can directly start contributing to patients as opposed to retraining and things like that. Of course, it also depends on what kind of training you had and how strong you feel that you can safely take care of patients, because at the end of the day, that's what matters the most to each of us. All right, Dr. Ibrahim says situation in Canada. Oh, this is actually non-specific. I earlier told you, Dr. Ibrahim, I want to answer your question, but give me some context. What situation are you referring to? Are you referring to a job situation? What kind of jobs? I need some context. High quality question will get high quality answers. So remember this. So do give me some context so I know what exactly you're referring to. I do want to answer your question. Okay. Dr. Chandolu says, Dr. Rajiv, I'm a radiologist with 9 years specialist practice, no USMLE. Do you think North Carolina is a good option? Potentially might be an option for anyone without USMLE. Um, but you can also explore, so you have no USMLA. If you belong to the eminent category, you can also explore the direct consultant option. But again, it depends on how strong your CV is. But potentially an option. Not a big fan of that, but yes, certainly an option. Dr. Sita says, thank you, that's helpful. Thank you. I'm having visa issues. Mine got rejected for elections. I'm from India. I actually have no idea what this means. Mine got rejected for elections. Can you give me a little more context about this, please? I'm really sorry the visa got rejected. Sol says $100,000 fee will impact of upcoming doctor who completed their residency in USA and went to get H1B visa for working in USA. Hang on, let's read this again. $100,000 fee will impact upcoming doctor who completed their residency in USA and want to get H1B. Potentially, but if you're a good candidate and the hospital wants you, they're okay paying money. $100,000 is not a big deal for most hospitals. I'm telling you guys, it's a big deal for you and me. For most hospitals, I mean, they spend a lot more on finding candidates. So that's not a big deal. I wouldn't stress about that. If you're a strong candidate, okay, and if you have done the requisite training, like you have done residency in the USA, the hospital is going to hire you. They're not going to stress about 100,000. I mean, sure, it's a huge expense, but a candidate is okay. An eligible candidate will not be denied a position because of these $100,000 fee. Okay, keep that in mind. Don't stress about all this. It is a big deal. It's a big news. But focus on things that you can control. Dr. Khan says, hello, sir. Hope you're well. What would be OET score required for fellowship applications? I have to take a look at this. So, this should be a pretty easy. I have to remember if it's a score of B. If anyone else knows this, you feel free to answer the question for Dr. Khan. But I do have to take a look online about this. It's B or something like that. Okay. A1, B1, C1. Interesting name. Dear IR sir, I'm family practitioner and urgent care with 10 plus years of experience from UK. Please advise regarding jobs in alternate pathway. Thank you, Dr. Kalyan. Well, the first question is, do you have a CCT or a Caesar? So that determines the whole process. So if so, then you can directly apply for a consultant job in the US. This can be done without USMLA. If you do not have these experiences, then if you do not have these certifications, then we'll have to think about what's best might be your pathways depending on what your experience is. Okay, but certainly explore the direct consultant or attending pathways. Hi sir, I am a practicing orthopedics, just graduated. I want to match an ortho. Is it possible? It is possible. It is never impossible, but orthopedics is quite competitive. Generally, what people who match into orthopedics do are the two categories. So one is they come with quite some experience from their home countries and they're now applying for a match, or they spend a few years in the US doing research fellowships specifically in orthopedics, so they actually can build their CV and then they can demonstrate that they're actually doing something in orthopedics, and then they eventually match. So there are different types of categories, and depending on that, you can explore what best makes sense in your case. Okay, but yes, it is possible to match. Dr. Rafsan says, Dear sir, I'm a GP practitioner and 10 years of experience. How can I become a GP practitioner in North Carolina? Well, at the end of the day, you must have a job offer from the state of North Carolina, and this can be based on you applying through the state laws or other pathways like the fellowships or attending positions. That is how you would transition. So Dr. Rahman says, by any chance, do you make a contract that we will pay your service charge after we get the job, because that will be a little helpful. We used to do that. We used to do that until we realized people actually ran away, and then we had to spend quite a bit of time and resource trying to find them. So we stopped doing that. Okay. So we actually put a lot of trust in people until people ran away. So that is why we don't do that anymore. But if someone has any difficulties in their life and things like that, our team can offer options. But that's where we are. So surgical fellowships. Okay. All right. Let me put all these questions together. So Dr. Ibrahim, I do want to answer your question. You actually are giving me two lines instead of giving me an entire question in one text. But let me think. So you said, what is the situation in Canada for surgical fellowships? Now, it is going to be extremely difficult to match into any surgical fellowship or get any surgical fellowship in any country for that matter. Okay? Because surgical fellowships are highly desirable, and there are a lot of local graduates applying. So that is the situation in Canada, in the US. But we do see candidates match into surgical fellowships, and they do that because they actually come with a strong application. They focus on applying to those fellowships where the chances might be slightly more than other types of fellowships. Again, accredited, non-accredited does not make any difference for IMGs applying through these fellowships who are coming from a different country. So for these reasons, I would say preparing a strong application and focusing on where you need to apply would be a lot more critical in order to secure fellowships. All right. So $1,000, I think we already took this question, isn't it? Good morning, Dr. Iyer. Details about, we already took this question too. Can you share the link, please? Oh, link to join online. Let me do that. All right. So link to join online is this. And appointments can be booked on www.imgsecrets.com, where you can use coupon code September 5. All right. Back to questions. Back to questions. All right. I shared the link. Dr. Imran says jobs for IMGs whom having more than 14 years of experience after plastic surgery residence. Yeah, as I said, getting surgical fellowships are going to be challenging, and you need to really come up with a very strategic application in order to increase your chances of getting a position. Dr. Srivastava says, thanks, Doc. Follow up question. As you said, if I go through fellowship route, can I practice in the US after completion? If not, how I can navigate? I don't prefer to repeat my general surgery residency in the US. If you do get a fellowship, this is not going to automatically give you a accreditation. This won't automatically give you a license. Then why even do fellowships? Because this puts a great clinical experience on your CV, using which you can find jobs to transition as a consultant. And there is a very potential pathway that we've been assisting a lot of IMGs through this pathway. And this is what I encourage you to do this. And that's how you navigate in terms of finding a position. So Dr. Niranjan says, my son currently pursuing MBBS third year. How to get ops in what is ops in USA without USMLA? What is ops? All right. Hello. We have someone join the call. Hi. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? Hello. All right. All right. How to get ops in USA without USMLA? Assume observation. You don't need any USMLA for doing observerships, if that's what you're referring to. I just completed MS Ortho from India. Is it possible to match in Ortho there? I think we took this question already. Dr. Arovolo, well done, Doc. I think you were trying to join. You can again join me. Please, what's your candid recommendation for a doctor without residency experience to explore opportunities in radiology subspecialties in the USA? So, I assume you're saying no US residency, and then you want to explore radiology opportunities in the US. It comes to, again, clinical fellowships, attending positions if you're an eminent outstanding without USMLA, and if you think none of this fits in, you may have to get back into residency all over again. All right, so I think we also answered this question. Dr. Serfati says, thank you, doctor. Thank you. So Dr. Sauji says, I'm currently doing OB anesthesia fellowship. Oh, that's great. That's congratulations. So if you need to find a job, then we can always assist you with that, or an alternate path. We can always assist you with that. If you're already doing an OB anesthesia fellowship, I assume in the US. All right. Dr. NB says, graduate in 2017, did all clinical rotations in the USA, past step one. What are the best pathways for me? Did we not already answer this? Or maybe not. Graduate in 2017, did all clinical rotations in the USA, past step one. Residency. I would say getting back into residency would be the best pathway for you based on this information you have provided. Dr. Tiwari says, hello, I'm a pediatric surgeon from India. I'm going to pursue pediatric urology fellowship from Australia. Fantastic. Congratulations. After that, do I have the opportunity to come to US to practice as a pediatric surgeon? There is a potential pathway to apply directly as a consultant. If you do a fellowship from Australia, assuming it is a complete clinical fellowship, then we can certainly assist you with the pathway once you're there. Dr. Shetty says, how many non-US IMGs match into radiology? We already took that. Dr. Ibrahim's question, surgical fellowships job for plastic surgeon with more than 16 years experience. We did that. Dr. Jeevan says, CMHS is child psychiatry, ADHD I know what ADHD is and exploring jobs in any state. As I already told you, if you are someone with that type of experience, you can always explore directly applying for attending physician positions. So that's a great option for you. So Dr. Chandolu says, thank you, Dr. Chandolu. All right. How many non-US IMGs match into radiology fellowships through ABR pathway? Step 2 score is 245. Quite a few. It's not just about the step 2 CK score because that's not what they look at for fellowships. They look at the strength of the application. The step scores are not that important for fellowships. They're more important for residency programs. Dr. Thiru says, good evening, sir. I have done my DM cardiac anesthesia and critical care recently. I want to do fellowship in either pediatric cardiac anesthesia or cardiac transplant. What are the better options, sir? Generally, getting a cardiac anesthesia fellowship is going to be difficult. So, you may want to use your cardiac anesthesia experience and explore probably a different type of fellowship other than cardiac anesthesia fellowship. Now, if you do secure fellowship 1, then your second fellowship can always be cardiac anesthesia. But coming into directly into cardiac anesthesia can be challenging. Of course, it depends on what country your training is from, but for majority of them, it can be challenging. Dr. Vikas says, hi sir, currently doing my DNB first year in critical care medicine. After completing my DNB, can I look into fellowship options in the US and then plan a career over there? Meanwhile, give my steps. Possible. But the challenge in critical care medicine is now critical care medicine is a specialty that gets residents from all different, many different specialties, I should say. So they get residents from internal medicine, pulmonology, and also from anesthesia, maybe even surgery, maybe a couple others, I think. So that makes getting into critical care quite challenging. So yes, you can certainly explore a fellowship, but remember that you're hitting a specialty which actually gets too many people and too many applicants. All right. Next is from Dr. Pillai, who says, I am a US permanent resident, but no US residency or USMLA. Okay. I hold MRCP UK and MFOM in fellowship in occupational and internal medicine. MRCP UK and MFOM and fellowship in occupational and internal medicine. 25 years of experience. How should I start? Um, no USMLA. If you think you belong to a category of really amazing CV and things like that, you can explore the direct attending positions. But if not, then you may have to get back to either clinical fellowship or residency. And remember, once you have 25 years of experience, getting residency is going to be extremely, extremely challenging. Again, I wouldn't say the chance is zero, but it is going to be extremely challenging because they look at if someone is too overqualified, they're very hesitant to give residency spots to them. So I would say, again, not enough information, but potentially an attending might be an option or a consultant might be an option, depending on how strong the CV is. Dr. Nawab says, I did 1 year of residency in Texas back in 2012, 2013. Okay. But was or did not do second and third year. I am a US citizen. Is it possible to get job as IMG in USA? I'm a Caribbean graduate, have passed USMLA. Now, that's a solid 1 year of GMU training you have. Some states allow people to get a license based on 1 year of GMU training. Now, in your case, I generally don't encourage anyone to apply for a license. Now, if there is an exception, now you might be an exception. In your case, you might want to explore what state is that can potentially offer you a license, and then based on that, you can look for job opportunities. Can you elaborate more on doctors for North Carolina, please? Is it anywhere inside the state or certain areas or which specialties? Could be any hospital in North Carolina. And for rural areas, they do have some definition of what the population should be. Any specialty. So whenever a law is made, they don't differentiate specialties typically. So it's across all specialties. Of course, getting in some specialties might be a lot more difficult than getting in others. I mean, in general, everything would be tough. I'll be joining radiology residency in India soon, is what Dr. Shetty says. What can I do to secure a radiology spot in residency or fellowship in USA after graduating? Well, focus on completing your USMLE steps. Do well in your residency in India. Try to see if you can get into some publications. Try to have some focus area in radiology. And based on that, you can increase your chances of getting a position. Okay. Dr. Keshav says, is it possible to become board certified after multiple fellowships in orthopedics? If yes, what's the pathway? I'm an orthopedic surgeon having 11 years of post PG experience in my home country. Yes, it is possible to be board certified, assuming you follow the alternate pathway for certification. This is not only specific for orthopedics, this is across all specialty or almost all specialties. The pathway is you secure a job after a fellowship, and that's how you proceed. In fact, we don't recommend doing fellowships after fellowships after fellowships. It doesn't add value. If a person does 1 year of fellowship, then we start encouraging them to apply directly for jobs and not like keep doing fellowships after fellowships. Because at the end of the day, the American Board of Orthopedics doesn't care whether you did fellowships or whether you worked as an attending physician. Either ways, you would be board certified if you follow the pathway. Okay. Dr. Rajiv, this is from Dr. Ibrahim. Whenever I call these states where alternate pathways law have passed, they tell me to get a job offer from the hospitals. Hospitals don't know about it. What to do? As I mentioned earlier, it is your job to explain the hospitals about these new pathways. Don't waste your time calling states because your time is valuable, their time is valuable. You're just wasting time trying to call all these state medical boards. No use. And basically, you do have to spend all your time and energy focusing on finding a job. And in the process of applying a job, you educate the hospitals, which is the whole idea. We do all these videos, share information with you, using which you can always educate the hospitals. When we prepare applications for candidates, we actually put a summary of a subtle way of educating the hospitals as to how these people can find jobs and how you can transition to working in the USA or in Canada or other countries through these novel pathways. So I'm not surprised the hospitals are not aware of it. It's your job as an applicant to educate them. Dr. Srivastava says, thank you. It's my pleasure. The next question is from Dr. Hire, who says, Rajiv, I recently had one-on-one session with you. Yes, I'm an anesthesiologist in India with post-PG experience of 5 years. Is North Carolina a good option for me as my USMLE steps have expired? So we might have talked about this in detail. Send an email to our team, contact us at imgsecrets.com. They can review the notes we made for you and then guide you exactly on the next steps for that. All right. Dr. Bhattacharjee says, could you please shed some light on pre-CCT but UK trained residency in internal medicine done? Doctors wanting to pursue fellowship in US, no long-term goals other than this. Can one bypass USMLE? Well, if you're thinking of fellowships in the US, generally USMLE would be required. There are some exceptions. If you have not done USMLE, if you still want to do fellowships, you can always reach out to us and we can explore what exceptions exist for you for your specific profile and then talk more about those. But if you're applying directly as a consultant or an attending physician, then things can happen without USMLE. Okay. All right. Dr. Tiwari says, sure, thank you. My pleasure. And Dr. Yenebure says, ECFMG certified 97, validity indefinitely, passed DNB General Medicine, 2016 from India. Can I apply for step 3? Yes, you definitely can apply for step 3 because prior to COVID, the ECFMG certification was valid indefinitely. Post COVID, it got complicated. But once you're ECFMG certified, subsequently you can write step 3 at any point of time. But what is the point of writing step 3 now? So think about this and then make a plan in your mind as to what you want to do with step 3 and then take the next steps. Can I apply for job in USA and board certification in internal medicine? Job and board certification are two different concepts. You have to remember, for any of you watching this, focus on getting a job. Don't worry about board certification. Okay, the board certification can happen later, so that is not important for you to start working in the US. I mean, it is a very critical component. I don't disagree with that, but people can work without board certification. Okay, so currently, based on the data we even said in the video, about 15% of doctors, about 150,000 doctors approximately, are currently not board certified in the US. I don't mean to say you should not be. I encourage, in fact, I strongly recommend everyone to be board certified, but there are options to work without board certification. So focus on a job, not board certification. I've been talking for more than 1 hour, and I'll take a couple more questions. I know most of you had so many questions. You can always continue posting these questions on YouTube. We'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. As you can imagine, we get a new message every few minutes. So there is a whole time and resource dedicated just to answering messages because we get so many messages. So I thank you all for your patience because I know many of you get generic answers, many of you don't get answers because your questions are not specific enough. So make sure you post specific questions, give high quality questions, and then we can try to get you some answers. Of course, you need our assistance one-on-one. You can always book appointments at www.imgsecrets.com. Dr. Yenabure says, thank you. Dr. Rajiv, thank you. It's my pleasure. All right. Dr. Pollock says, I have an offer for fellowship under H1B visa after the recent H1B issue. What are the chances that physicians are exempt? See, I couldn't say physicians are exempt, but what I can say is physicians are unlikely to be affected. Or if not, I should probably say that if physicians are affected, it's only going to be a minority, in my opinion, because for a hospital, they wouldn't really stress about these things so much because for them, what is more important is they get a high quality candidate. Sure, it's an expense for them. It's $100,000. It is not you who are paying; it's them who are paying. So I would really not stress about the H1B visa because see, everyone has very limited time, resource, energy in their life. So you want to put out things that are more positive and not worry about all these news and all these things. Yes, it is a problem, but it is unlikely to be a problem for majority of them, is what I think. Okay. So if you already have an offer, congratulations. That's a solid thing. So make sure how you can successfully ace your fellowship and then use that experience to find a job directly as an attending physician. We can always guide you with those options. So Dr. Muqtadar Khan says, I have got C plus in listening, B in reading, C plus in writing, and A in speaking. So Dr. Khan, as I said, I do not remember how much OET scores is required for a clinical fellowship in Canada. This is exactly what I mentioned to you earlier. This is a very easy Google question that can be figured out how it is. If you're still not sure, you can send an email. We'll try to figure out the answer for you. Okay. I don't know the answer at the top of my head, and I don't want to say things that are not accurate. Hopefully, this is making sense. Okay. Dr. Soul says, I had completed my diagnostic radiology from AIMS and completing USMLA step 1 and step 2, 260. What is the chance of getting matched into radiology residency in US? Well, as long as you come with a strong application, make sure you focus on the type of programs that actually hire candidates like you, and a strong personal statement. And these are some of the ways that you would increase your chances of how you can successfully match into radiology residency. Okay, so all right. Probably a couple more questions and we'll call it a day. GP with 25 years of experience has a chance of getting a residency. Going to be very hard. If you have 25 years of experience, instead of going back to residency, I would explore other options like a fellowship or attending jobs. 25 years of experience generally is considered too overqualified to get into residency training. I wouldn't say it's zero, but it's very unlikely. Does ABP, American Board of Pediatrics, offer an alternate pathway for board certification in pediatrics? My wife is doing her second year fellowship in developmental peds in Missouri. She's a pediatrician with 10 years experience in India. Yes, the good news is there are options to be board certified. In order to do that, you must first secure a position, and then using which you can follow the steps to be board certified. Need any help, you can always reach out to us. Okay. All right. So Dr. Nadna says thank you, and I personally want to thank each of you for joining the call, interacting. I do hope these actually help you in order to plan your career. The thing we don't want to see is people taking wrong steps in their career, moving to these countries, thinking something really solid is going to happen in their life, and then wasting their life doing things that they're not supposed to do as highly trained professionals. It really hurts me to see this when I see a physician working in a non-professional job. I don't mean to say any job is superior, inferior. That's not my idea. But what I'm trying to say is, if you are a highly trained professional, you might as well contribute to the society by actually taking care of patients. Because what is more important for you and me as doctors? Taking care of patients. That is what we are here for. And so do take extremely careful steps, and don't screw up your career by doing stupid things, which is the whole reason. And I hope this is helpful. Again, if you need one-on-one guidance, you can always book an appointment with us. Use the code September 5, everything in capital, no space. And then it's so nice interacting with you all. Good luck with your career. Take care, stay safe. I'll talk to you guys soon.